Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well.
Giles, hello.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Doing well. Happy Friday. Happy non-farm payroll Friday.
Yeah, thank you very much. Lock it. Oh, I like your mug. That feels like a
Thank you.
NFP mug,
Yeah,
ready for
it's
action.
it's very
All stripes, no stars. That's not very patriotic of you.
it's not Donald Trump. It's not MAGA approved, that's for sure.
It's not a Canadian mug, is it?
No, I have no idea. A friend actually brought it over and we just never gave it back. So it's not really part of the household. Can't vouch
Finders
for it.
keepers, losers weepers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, well, we've got the Trump hokey cokey again. Tariffs on, tariffs off, on, off, shaking it all about.
I know.
Yeah.
A little crazy because you were nice job on that webinar this morning. But a little bit of a tricky print because you had the whisper number come out, you had the actual number, and it was low, but like, was it that low? Little bit tricky. But we'll see
It
what.
was on the low side, and you see stocks reacted the way I kind of thought they would, which is up initially,
Yeah,
and then selling off because it's a worry. The dollar was weird. I mean, we hit that daily pivot point, so we got the one opportunity to get there, but you wouldn't have expected it to be like that,
yeah, yeah,
up and then down. That didn't make sense. I know the dollar's very weak at the moment, but it's so choppy out there, and you just think market wants to sell at the moment. Look at that, 200 SMA breaking on the S&P 500, Nasdaq.
Yep.
Volatility still higher. I think what's just basically front and center of investors' minds is that the tariffs are uncertain,
Yeah, that's
and
definitely it.
that's what it is. That uncertainty is just there.
And
Uh,
Trump generally is uncertain, so that's what it
yeah,
is. People just don't know what to do.
no, and he is uncertain, and it's really unclear what to do with him. Okay, right. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. Let's check I'm sharing the right screen. Yes, I am. All right. So risk is off. Okay. Equity markets down across the board. Volatility higher above that 20 region. The VIX is higher and it's pushing above that 22 region. Risk is just kind of off. Now, the big news is obviously the NFP. Now, this is to the downside, right? If you look at that print 151 and you look at the forecast distribution, there was only 9 analysts who thought it was going to be 150 or lower, right? So that was a surprise, and it was the bottom
Just seeing
end.
remarks from US President Trump on Truth Social says South Africa is being a terrible plus to long-time farmers in the country. They are confiscating their land and farms are much worse than that. Says a bad place to be right now, and we are stopping all federal funding. To go a step further, any farmer from South Africa seeking to flee that country for reasons of safety will be invited into the US with a rapid pathway to citizenship.
Okay.
Just seeing
Yeah.
immediate weakness in the rand.
Trump wading into South Africa now. Well done.
Everyone run over and sell the rand
He was speaking to
immediately.
Hamas on the phone, and now South Africa.
Oh man.
Yeah, his voracious appetite, incredible. His capacity for conflict is off the scale, right? Okay, so unemployment rate 4.1% towards the high end. Now that would have liked to have seen that higher, because you can see that there were 26 forecasters seeing the unemployment rate to be at 4.1%. But it was given the fact that the average earnings came in weak at 4%, and only 3 analysts thought that. So that meant it was a weak print. So we're expecting dollar weakness. Now, we spoke about this yesterday because Paul asked me the exact question: would you expect E-mini upside? And what's happened is what I'd expected. What I expected at the time is you've seen the E-mini go up and then immediately sell off. Now, a weak jobs number should mean lower interest rates from the Fed, right? So that should be equity upside. But a weak US jobs market means the US economy is slowing, and it's one of the sort of concerning elements of hard data showing a slowdown in the US economy. And that's what everyone's worried about at the moment, a slowing US economy.
Making you aware of some remarks from the US's Hassett says though some job numbers would be lower, or rather thought some job numbers would be lower over flu month.
Right, so now we're going to have the explanations as to why these numbers are slower. Now, this is not expected to be the Doge the Department of Government Efficiency that Elon Musk is reading. So this is not expected to be due to that. But that sell-off is carrying on. Now, we have to be aware where we're at in the S&P 500, and we are at a really sort of pivotal point. See, the last time the S&P 500 was underneath the 200 moving average, the 200 exponential moving average that I've got here, was October 2023. So breaking down through this area is important, but we've also got this horizontal support here. So just be aware, we are in the support level, and if you look at this, Harami inside bar false break. So just be careful that we don't get a sudden turnaround here. And if we don't get a turnaround, then that Harami false break pattern is broken down and you are looking at more downside, and we're also breaking through that swing point, which would be very important if we get a breakdown through that, and the selling is continuing as I speak. So looking across other markets, that is really what we're dealing with. The broad dollar weakness continues, right, albeit very choppy, but it's in some support. And just watch, in case we get a turnaround, this is a good area for a turnaround in the S&P 500. This will be a turnaround area. Got a false break of a Harami inside bar on the Dow and the S&P 500. You haven't got it on the NASDAQ, which is interesting. So the NASDAQ is signaling lower prices. Volatility is higher, that's signaling lower prices. So I think we have to go with this and say, okay, this looks like the market wants to keep selling. So looking at the E-mini, hey Devan, good to see you. Funny reaction to the print, right? On the weekly developing value area, we're pushing down and out through it, right? We're heading towards the lows of the week, which is down at that 5719. So look out for a breakout at the 571975, which is the lows of the week. That I'll be quite interested in getting involved in that if I can be, which is down here. If we get a breakout of these lows, right? And we're looking like testing that, and we're trying to break out of yesterday's value area for the start of the session. So that means that's a great area for potential shorting. And if you look on the 15-minute chart, look, buyers all trapped there. So I was looking for a sell if we got back up to that standard deviation. We haven't got up to that standard deviation, but happy to initiate a sell if we do get back up to that standard deviation or that daily VWAP. So I'm very happy just to leave an order up there. If I get back up to that, I'm happy to sell back lower. The rhythm of the session is clearly lower and trying to make fresh lows. We've had a normal trend lower, a rhythm change on the NFP, and then a sharp sell-off continuation. Key levels to be looking at: developed value area from yesterday, confirmed value area there that we're in. So breaking out of that area, then we're looking for a breakout retest, and on we go lower. Okay, then we've got to go back quite a long way looking for sort of value areas. So that could be a discovery session. Let's have a look. See what we got all the way back down there. We've got to go quite a long way back. Right. I'm not going to put you through that. I'll look at that on a different screen later on. Just go back to the front prices for now. There we go. So for now, trying to break through this area. We've got those lows of the 571950. That will be important in case you get a breakout. The key levels to be aware of, obviously these trap buyers here from the NFP print and these trap buyers here. So breaking down 7195 is going to be important. In fact, that may even happen as we're just kind of here. So I'm going to keep an eye on this and go with it if I get the break.
Just want to be aware of regarding Ukraine, President Zelensky will not be attending Tuesday meeting with American delegation.
The projections are that I'd like to see this continuation lower, but I am conscious that we might get a bit of dip buying here. I'm not going to rule it out. And you can see there has been quite a lot of buyers coming in on this print. So if we do get some dip buying, I won't be averse to going back up and making our way back up to 5760, but I could see it being two-way price action today. So I'm expecting two-way action, but lower, retrace, breakthrough. That's what I'm basically expecting. Down, retracement back to the 5730, and then continuation down. If we get into the US Open, I'd expect to move up to the 5750, 5760, then back down, and then either a range bound and then break, or range
And
bound
on
in terms of the
geopolitics,
highs.
Iran's
So that's
newer
what I'd
news,
expect.
affiliated with the top security body, says US President Trump's letter to Khamenei is repetitive show by Washington.
The difficulty will come from Trump's comments, and we've got quite a few speakers out today. So you've got Powell speaking at 5:30 before the Fed's blackout period. So the Fed's meeting in 2 weeks, 10 days really. So you've got Fed's Bowman at 3:15, Williams at 3:45, Kugler at 5:20, and Powell at 5:30. And you've got a few ECB speakers. Plus you've got Trump awake and tweeting. And we've got Trump's executive orders at 7:30 UK. So there is quite a lot going on in terms of speakers, particularly Fed speakers, and people will be waiting to see what Powell's making of the latest jobs data. Okay, he's speaking on the economic outlook, so we'll have to see about that. I thought it was interesting that Trump said he's not even looking at the market, which makes me think he's definitely heard reports that the market is falling quite a lot lower. So he does sort of keep a keen eye on where the S&P 500 is. He certainly did in his last term. So
and on today's jobs report, White House economic advisor says it was great.
Right. Okay. Well, so just keep an eye on what Trump thinks about any further falls in the stock market, and just watch out. It could be one tweet or one comment just still send this higher. But notice each time we're getting the market moving higher, it's finding reasons to sell off. So this is a market that is very keen to sell. We've got to keep our eye on volatility. So I'm just going to put the VIX up on another screen for myself, just so I can keep a constant eye on the VIX throughout today's session. Just going to drag that up now. So I've got that. Right, that's good. If there's any Fed pricing change, no pricing change since the report. So hasn't changed anything in short-term interest rate markets. Inventory is still positive. So just note that. And from the Globex Open, the inventory is in the positive now. So we can't rule out a turnaround, but I'll be happy to sell from that daily VWAP.
Just some remarks from Mexican President Sheinbaum says if we do not put tariffs on what is coming from the US will not put tariffs on what's coming from Mexico.
So got a little bit of a bounce off there. Oh, let's have a look. Are we going to get pulled in here? So now we're coming into this area here where those buyers were potentially trapped at the 45. We've broken above that standard deviation. So 51.75 where I'll be looking at getting in. Okay, point of control's now moved. So 5-minute buyers trapping those sellers. Point of control. That's an obvious area. If we're going to see dip buyers who want to push it back up, that's an obvious area for them to come in. So the point of control, that's the most amount of volume. Heavy volume to the downside, 500 contracts short. Delta is negative. Interesting. That was the first area where those buyers were trapped. So we didn't quite get up to the daily VWAP. We've carried on our way lower. Right. So if these sellers can trap these buyers, that would be great. So let's have a look at that. VIX is high. VIX is pushing up towards the highs of the day. All right. NASDAQ, Dow, S&P 500, Euro Stoxx DAX, everything else down. It's hard not to see anything that's selling ahead, isn't it? We'll see, but Delta negative as well. Only moved as far as the point of control, but still, nevertheless.
It feels like a more interesting decision point is down below these lows, 57.20, because at that point you can either say, okay, it's going to keep going, and you can watch the price and see if it wants to really we want to start trending lower, or is that the place where you'll just get a big stop hunt, and reverse higher? But right here, it's like, okay, we'll just see where we go.
So those buyers trapping those sellers, that's being defended. Let's see what happened to all those sellers that came in. 500 contracts sold, buyers nearly matching them. So yeah, hey Najam, basically market sentiment after the NFP is that jobs market's a little bit weaker, but it hasn't changed stir market pricing. So they're still seeing 3 interest rate cuts this year. It didn't it's gone down a little bit, right? But it hasn't really massively changed it. So markets initially moved higher on the bad data is good news before realizing, okay, bad data is bad news because it means a weakening labor market. So Hasn't really changed much, just as we were basically. The main thing, Najem, is that volatility is high and the VIX is moving towards the highs of the day. So now let's see. We've got some volume. We're heading up towards the daily. Right, okay, now I'm triggered in. Let's see what we get here, if we get anything. Right, so I'm triggered in on these guys being caught. Point of control's moved up. So it's got to keep an eye on this point of control. Delta is still negative, but rising. Bouncing off to the daily VWAP. Some negative volume coming in, and we're going to hit some profit taking if we move up to the 5758. Bit more volume coming in. I'm going to try and bounce off that daily VWAP. That is into the developed value area low from the 4th of March. And we've got these buyers that got trapped there before the session. So it's an obvious area to look for shorts with those buyers trapped after the NFP print. That's going to drop down. Want to start to see some sellers coming in here now, really. So you can see some negative delta, some active sellers coming in from the time we took over that daily VWAP. So let's see if we can start moving lower again. So this will be important to see if these buyers trap these sellers. Let's have a look. Right, they haven't quite managed to. That's good. Right, so they haven't quite managed to trap those sellers. So sellers can still take it from here. Had an attempt at a run up, but let's see where we get to. Bit of a snap back into the close of the candle. And although we've had price moving high, we've had the delta building. So sellers quite happy to step in up there, which makes sense. It's a decent area. Volatility is pulling off its highs a little bit. You can see VIX just pulling back a little bit of dip buying going on. We'll see.
Just a market update following the US cash open. In terms of US indices, they do open in the green. S&P up about 30 basis points, Nasdaq up about 40, and Russell 2000, that's currently up about 20 basis points. As a reminder, we didn't have that NFP report, which did see a slight miss, hitting 151,000 jobs added beneath 160k, although some were expecting a huge headline miss, so some fears were averted. That said, the unemployment rate unexpectedly ticked higher, and in terms of sector performance, we see energy leading the pile. Following is utilities and technology. Downside seen in financials, staples, and discretionary. In the FX space, the dollar does remain well in the red. DXY currently at 103.65, so off those lows just 103.46. And it did pair the little upside that was earlier seen on that NFP report, as euro strength continues to weigh, while Antipodeans do lag as China's imports unexpectedly contracted, and they also missed on export figures. Elsewhere, treasuries, they are bid across the curve. They did pair that earlier downside seen on FP, although the prices have come well off highs on the 10-year futures as 111.10-ish, rather 111.11.5. They're now at 111. The 10-year yield, that's currently down about 0.4 basis points. Separately, crude prices, they are firmer amid the softer dollar and recent remarks from US President Trump, who is considering a large-scale banking sanction and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. Crude prices, they're up over $1.40 per barrel. WTI at 67.80.
Yeah, now that
Brent just hitting that $71 handle ahead of the weekly Baker Hughes rig count later today.
Okay, so I'm out of that. We just got these sellers, and put that high being its chat. It won't go higher. So just going to leave that now and reset, and let's wait again and find a better place. Delta now positive on the day. That not holding, and the point of control moving up there. So I'm out. So the trades of the day are as follows. So first trade looking for is the short with those buyers getting trapped here on the 15. Buyers getting trapped. We're down that value area low, so we definitely didn't want to be shorting from there. Happy to short from the VWAP, and then just had the stop above the first standard deviation. Moved up, hit the stop, and okay, then reassess. And then we were up here, just could suddenly see, hang on, we've got absorption going on up here. So delta was moving lower. So price was moving higher, but the delta was moving lower. So it was just telling you that there was absorption going on, and sellers were absorbing all the passive buyers, and they were building. So as I saw that happening, price moving higher, delta moving lower, added another short, stops just above the second standard deviation, give it another go, see if we can run it down. Ran it down here, and then as we moved up, just pushing above that first standard deviation intra sort of minute, closed it out, break even. Exactly the wrong thing to do. Price carried on moving lower. And then when I saw it moving lower and taking out these buyers again, entered a short there. And then when the swing point from this low was taken out, entered another short, so had two shorts and entered them out, both closing them out, hitting the standard deviation. Then we had a breakout trade as we broke out through the low of the day. Breakout on volume and took 2 or 3 shorts to the downside. Made sense on that breaking volume, took something out and then left it. Then I was looking to go short again where these buyers were trapped on the 5-minute, but got taken out.
US President Trump is to sign executive order related to student loans.
Got taken out.
Now speaking at the White House.
Right, being interrupted by Trump, which is pretty on theme for the day. And then we had the news that President Putin is ready to agree Ukrainian truce with conditions, right? Price rocketed higher. My stop was taken out as I was making my cup of tea. Saw my orders pick up on my phone, in and then out. Oh, what is it? Knew it was some news. Then went long a couple of positions. Great. Putin, peace would be great for sentiment. That could be the lift we need. And you can see there were 4,000 contracts went long on that headline. So lots of people very happy with that. Go with it. But then it came out that Putin said, yeah, well, we said we'd agree ready for a truce last month in Saudi Arabia. And I thought, very, all that good news is just not so good news anymore because he did that last month and then it's all big conditions. So it's more rhetorical than substantial, basically. And so the market just sort of fades it off. So then closed my 2 longs and entered a short, but unfortunately, the 2 shorts that I had, they got taken out as I hit my drawdown limit. So I wasn't able to roll it down. Then moved over to the 73, a different account. And with the different account, where is it? Here. Where are we? Hang on, there we go. With the 73 account here. Just, again, breaking out the lows of the day. And then, very simply, just saw the buyers getting trapped. And as those buyers were trapped here on the 1 minute, I thought, I like that. I'll take a short. So I took a short, buyers being trapped, and then just rode it down for 6 points for that little profit. And because we're quite stretched, you can see on the 15-minute chart, we're right at that second standard deviation. So very stretched markets. Don't want to try your luck too much. And then, phew, that's the end of the day. So there we go.
Everybody, take care. And
Take care. Have a good weekend.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.